Twine is an open source tool for creating interactive nonlinear texts. Nonlinear texts are ones that, instead of progressing in a sequential fashion from passage to passage, give the reader the opportunity to explore multiple pathways through the text by making choices through links that are presented in the text. For example, in Chloe and Jared's Uluru adventure, the reader is presented with narrative and links from one passage to another, but can also be presented with multiple links that give them multiple pathways. And so on. Twine comes in a downloadable format to be used locally on Windows, Mac OS and Linux, but the one that we're going to use, or the version that we're going to use, is an online editor which stores all of your stories in your web browser. So as long as you're using the same web browser and you haven't cleared your cache, each time you go to your story dashboard, you'll see all of your stories presented there. And if you do want to save one of your stories, you can download it as a file and then you can upload it. If, for example, if you're using a different browser, you can upload the latest version of your story into that browser. As a consequence, you don't need a login for Twine, but you do need to either be using the same browser each time you continue work on your story, or you need to download your story as a local HTML file and then upload it again for later use. This is a story dashboard. As you can see in this particular browser, I've got 4 different stories that I've been working on, and I can continue to, I can add a new story over here. I can import a story from a file if I've downloaded a file, for example, from another browser. And I can also archive my stories and so on and so forth. There's several options. So if I go into, say, for example, Number Guesser, this is a non-linear, non-narrative story. You can see that I've got a story map that shows all of the passages. Each passage is a screen of my story, and it even shows the links between the passages. If I open up, this is my start screen or my start passage. The format is at the very top, you see the name of the screen or the name of the passage. You can see the text that's presented. So any of this text that's next to an inbuilt bullet mark is going to appear as plain text. And any of the text that appears inside double square brackets will be a link to another passage. And one of the easiest features of Twine is the fact that it allows you to add links, but in the process of adding those links, it allows you, or it will automatically create the passage that you are linking to if the passage doesn't already exist. So here I've added option C, Other, and you can see that it actually automatically creates that passage, and I can then go into that passage and add that text. If I delete that passage, and get rid of that, you'll see that there's a red X there indicating that there's a link but no passage that it's going to, so it's a dead link. So obviously I need to go in and get rid of that link, and then that returns my story back to its original state. This is really handy because one of the difficulties of writing non-linear stories is it can be very difficult to keep track of all the different pathways that your story is following. And this way you can actually see the pathways that and the structure that your reader can navigate and can make sure that the story actually does resolve in an end for every possible different pathway that the user will take. And you can see also what I've done here is I've made sure that every final passage of a pathway has a link back to the start. So I can do if you look in here, you can see that there is a play again option and a link back up to the introductory passage, which in this case is called Number Guesser up there. So in the next video, we're actually going to look at how to create a new story and how to start building our passages and our links between stories.